Hi, I'm Sonia and I'm here with my husband John this week, and we are so excited that you could be with us today. This week we have a huge collaboration, and we are collaborating with the JDRF and the Sheraton Grand Seattle. And this week we are going to be sharing with you some cool ideas to how to make your gingerbread house at home just pop. And we are also excited because this is a way that we can all just come together and still support the JDRF.
So in order to make Sonia's gingerbread houses pop, we're going to show you some chef skills that we used for building all of the giant animatronic structures that the Sheraton Grand Seattle and JDRF has built through the years. Lots of local architects, really talented chefs over the years, and thousands of hours of volunteer labor and thousands of dollars from the Sheraton Grand to bring people in for donations for the JDRF. So today we're not going to show you one of those gingerbread houses. We're going to have them clipped in, things that we've built and worked on over the years. But we're going to show you.
John pulled this off in like just a quick evening. He's been busy.
But we're going to show you some skills that we've used toward those that can be applied at home. So just so you know, the gingerbread house is something that we purchased the little kit, and I've said over the years I would never do because it brings down the caliber of the months that these people put into building these
thousands
structures.
Of hours.
But this year it's different. So when we're together in the future, it'll be great. But for now, we're apart, and this is a way to support. So we hope you enjoy.
But oh wait, we're at home.
So is this the way we normally are? This is the way everybody sees us?
But this isn't not how we are at home. Oh, that's better. John, are you ready to show us how to make an amazing gingerbread house at home?
I sure am. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, y'all. Well, John is going to show us some fun techniques how to make your own little gingerbread house at home just pop and be amazing, a little bit extra.
So we didn't have, like we said, we had a store-bought kit. So here's one thing we did in the past. This is Elena's hands, and we're doing some shredded coconut, some green food coloring, and you mix it up to whatever color you want it to be. So basically, essentially, you're making grass, and it's a nice way to cover a big area on the ground of a gingerbread house. So I wasn't quite dark enough, so she's mixing it in, and we're gonna take this and put it as the base like we did in these gingerbread houses in the past. So if you have a nice decoration you want to put this underneath, that was one that we did for one in the past. Well, we're scoring some gingerbread in a kit, and we're doing this so that we can put some sugar windows in, but you have to be real gentle when you're doing it, or you could just bake it off like we did here. So you score it and you scratch out you make sure you take it out in small pieces, because you're not going to want to take it out in one chunk or it'll break with the ones that are store-bought.
I broke mine at home.
It's somewhat easier just to cut it out before you bake it, but if you buy a store-bought kit, you just use it a little bit of time and scratch them out, and like Sonia said, it's a little bit difficult. So if you have an oven like this, you bake them off first. And one thing at home, you can take Jolly Ranchers or any other hard candy, and you unwrap them and melt them for like 45 seconds to a minute in the microwave. They're really hot, so be careful. You could, like we did in this one in the past, pour it over a picture, and if you pour it over a picture, you see it come through with light behind it. It's kind of a neat trick. So we have very hot sugar. We're going to pour into the windows, and then we're going to pour a little bit right next to that you could use for grass or other things, but there's so much you could do with sugar. So like these windows stained glass, or pouring cast sugar in for coral or fire, or casting them like those, or doing pooled sugar like this dragon that we did in the past. There's so many different things you can do with sugar that make things pop that you could do at home.
You just got to be careful with your kids so you don't burn themselves.
It's very hot, so be careful. It's very hot.
Be careful.
So this is for covering a large surface. So we're going to take royal icing that we made in the cookie video, this little bit thicker, so half the amount of moisture, and then once you spread it onto the gingerbread, you're going to dip it into these pretty little decorations like we did with this ground gingerbread on this boot. So there's a dark and a white, and then we have covering a large surface with jelly beans. You can use any other candy, but you make a pattern and decide to stick with that pattern. This is a very small space, but you could do it on anything at home for a walkway or part of a building. So you try to make sure that all of the jelly beans aren't the same color in a row. So I don't have 2 reds next to 2 greens. But when you do this, when it's all done, it looks almost like brickwork. You can do it with sprees or jelly beans.
All different kinds of candies.
All different types of candies.
Yeah, just let your imagination run wild.
Big patterns on big things, and it makes other things that are white pop. So that's one way to do a surface that can be done at home. This, we're taking the same royal icing, thicker, and one of the problems was this wasn't thick enough. So you need to make sure to leave some of the moisture out. Take a sugar cone, and you're going to do a crumb coat on it, which basically means you're going to smear some on there. And I put the icing into a Ziploc bag. And then now what I'm doing, which is out of focus but will come in a minute, is I'm piping little tiny dots. Now I'm doing a crumb coat, so I'm smearing it all over it because it wasn't sticking.
It was 2 videos ago, so make sure you look on our channel and you can watch our cookie video, and it will show you exactly how to make our royal icing along with our sugar cookies. Elena shows you how.
So this is just the corner of a Ziploc bag because people don't have piping bags at home. If you have one, that's great. And then you're just going to pipe these little dots on the side of the sugar cone, and you just keep going. You go from the bottom up, kind of like shingles, and you're going to put them on, and gravity will naturally pull them down so that it looks like a Christmas tree. Once that's all set, it'll give you a nice surface that'll harden, that will be nice for sticking like little candies or little chocolates to make it look like a Christmas tree. And this is really fun for kids to do because you could just use the royal icing, and like in the last one, use patterns, and you can use all different types of candies.
You have any pointers on holding that bag?
So squeeze put just a little bit in your hand. So there may be a lot in the bag, but you would twist off probably 4 ounces or half a cup in your hand so that you can hold it. So that's one I'm just putting little candies on so that it looks like a Christmas tree, and it'll harden like that, and you could put it anywhere next to any of your structures. So in the past, we've built them out of everything. So here's some that we put on gingerbread houses in the past, and you can put them all over your gingerbreads. So this is just us putting it together. One of the things is to put a liberal amount of the royal icing, and when you're assembling, people don't put enough royal icing.
Put a ton. Mine fell over.
On the
center.
center.
To go again.
When you're doing the inside corners of putting it together, it should be pretty thick in there, and that becomes like the glue that holds it together. That grass that we made earlier, we're putting it here. So these are all of the pieces, and like I said, when you start to assemble, sometimes it's good to have a friend. The thing you need to do is make sure you have plenty of icing on the center of those 90-degree angles, because that's what essentially holds the structure of your house together. Then once it hardens, that's the other thing too, is you can choose to decorate before you assemble or after you assemble. Sometimes doing it after you assemble it makes it harder. So you just have to pick and choose what's good for you. But you can see the extra icing inside. So this is a little tiny kit, and it's put together with these techniques. You could put a light inside. We've embedded lights in things before where you just put a little light and it will make those windows glow. These are just a bunch of like Tootsie Roll candies, and we cut them in half, and we're going to roll them out into little circles. And what you want to do is get any color you want, roll them out into these little thin circles, and you're just going to barely twist them. So you're going to roll them into almost a cylinder, but one end of that cylinder is going to be open.
Yes, and I think these are so cool because you could make big ones or little ones, and they just turn into beautiful rows. And you can make it as full or as tight as you wanted. Do you have any tricks on how we're going to put it together?
Well, the circles don't have to be perfect, but the center one you want to roll tight at the bottom, and you want to compress at the bottom, because as you squeeze at the bottom, the top opens up a little bit. So as you could see those little discs, you go, what were they doing with those? They don't have to be perfect. They're rose petals. So when you stick it all together and then you squeeze at the bottom, you open it up and it becomes a rose. So you could do this with a Tootsie Roll and have a brown one. You could do it with any type, but we did it on this one as a castle. Like you could see the jelly beans and the patterns and the different roses. This was one that was done a while back, and it's a little bit bigger. But these gingerbread houses that are done at home, you should have fun with it. You put on an old movie, put on some Christmas carols, have fun with your family. The ones that are done by all of the people at the Sheraton Grand Seattle for the JDRF, they are skilled craftsmen and they take months doing them. So those people, my heart goes out to them and really want to say a warm thanks for all the years of dedication. But for you at home, take these tips and tricks and skills and have fun with it. Put them together and know that our family has done it through the years, and I've been very blessed to have my family involved, and here are some pictures of that.
Yes, and we just want to remind y'all to make sure that you do look at the hashtags and hashtag it up on Instagram, and make sure that we also support the JDRF this year. They really still need our big donations. And here's just a few pictures of us throughout the years. Everybody in our family is always involved, and we hope that you get your family involved and that you take this time, because we do have time this year to make our own gingerbread at home. And there's so many places that sell the little kits, and you can use your imagination and pick up all your favorite candy and just make a whole evening at home just super fun, and everybody is gonna love it. And I just cannot wait to see your creations online. And as always, we're always sending you our love, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.